Welcome back to the Isaac Blake channel, where we break down the forces shaping our world. Today, we're diving into a story that's been overshadowed by headlines about conflict and geopolitics: the economic collapse inside Iran. While the world's attention is fixed on military tensions, a much deeper crisis is unfolding for millions of ordinary Iranians. From runaway inflation to a shadow economy that keeps the country afloat, Iran's economic meltdown is a cautionary tale of sanctions, corruption, and lost opportunity. Iran is one of the richest resource countries on the planet, yet its people are suffering like never before. Let's start with the basics. Iran's economy is in deep trouble, and it's not getting the attention it deserves. Just this week, Israel struck Iranian oil storage facilities and parts of Iran's largest natural gas field, sending shockwaves through global markets. But while the world watches these tensions, a much bigger story is unfolding inside Iran. Prices are skyrocketing, inflation is nearly 50%, and the currency, the rial, has crashed. On the black market, $1 now buys over 700,000 rials, up tenfold from just 7 years ago. For everyday Iranians, this means that basic goods are out of reach. Over 30 million people now live below the poverty line, struggling to buy bread or pay rent. This isn't just about bad luck or sanctions. It's a web of elite corruption and global isolation strangling the country from within. Let's break down the numbers. Back in 2018, 70,000 rials bought you $1. By mid-2025, it soared to 700,000 or even 800,000 rials per dollar, a tenfold collapse. A bag of rice that cost 100,000 rials a few years ago now costs nearly $1 million. Most workers earn about 40 million rials a month, barely enough for food and rent. The government tried to fix this by printing more money, but that only fueled more inflation, with food prices up over 50% since 2023. Imports like phones and car parts have become luxury items. This isn't just numbers, it's families skipping meals to make ends meet. Official unemployment is around 10%, but for young people, it's closer to 30%. For young women, it's even higher, about 42%. Iran's industries are crumbling. The car sector, once a point of national pride, has seen production plummet from 1.4 million vehicles in 2011 to barely 1 million in 2024, thanks to sanctions blocking parts and markets. Factories in cities like Tabriz are shutting down, and small businesses in Isfahan are closing because people can't afford to spend. The private sector is choked by bureaucracy and a lack of bank loans. When a business shuts down, it's not just the owner who suffers. Workers lose wages, suppliers lose contracts, and whole communities lose hope. Desperation has given rise to a booming shadow economy. Sanctions make legal trade nearly impossible, so the black market is thriving. Organized networks, often linked to powerful elites, smuggle everything from medicine to baby formula across borders with Iraq, Turkey, and Pakistan. Fuel smuggling is rampant. Subsidized gasoline is sold in Pakistan for big profits, while trucks dodge border patrols in towns like Zahedan. The government's official exchange rate is a fantasy. In Tehran's Grand Bazaar, street dealers trade dollars and euros at real rates, sometimes double or triple the official rate. This fuels inflation and erodes trust in the system. Another hidden world is growing: digital money. Iran has turned to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to keep trade alive, processing around $1 billion in crypto transactions in 2024, mostly with Turkey and China. The government even legalized crypto mining in 2019, and by 2025, it consumes 10% of the country's power, enough to light up whole cities. But this comes at a cost. Crypto mining causes blackouts, leaving homes and factories in the dark. And for most Iranians, crypto is out of reach. Expensive computers and know-how are needed, so it's mostly big players and state-linked firms who profit. Crypto prices are volatile, and a crash last year wiped out $200 million in Iranian holdings. The government is cracking down, shutting illegal mines and jailing traders. Iran sits on the world's fourth largest oil reserves, pumping 3.2 million barrels a day in 2024, up from 2.5 million during peak sanctions. Oil is the backbone of the economy, bringing in $18 billion in 2024, mostly from sales to China. But it's not enough. Oil prices in mid-2025 are around $70 to $75 a barrel, down from a high of $80. Iran's budget was built on $80 oil, so every dollar below that hurts. The government expected $20 billion from oil in 2024 to 25, but they're likely short by billions. Meanwhile, global food prices are up, and Iran imports 60% of its wheat. Subsidies for food and fuel stretch the budget thin, leaving little for schools or hospitals. A chunk of oil money also goes to military spending and supporting allies like Hezbollah in Lebanon. Sanctions are a huge part of the story. In 2012, the US and its allies targeted Iran's nuclear program, cutting it off from global banks. Oil exports dropped from 3.8 million barrels a day to under 3 million, slashing revenue. When the US pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal in 2018, things got worse. Assets were frozen, and buyers like India and Japan backed off. Now, Iran sells oil at discounts to China, often through middlemen or ghost tankers that dodge trackers. This brings in cash, but it's a fraction of what they could earn in a free market. Sanctions didn't just hurt oil, they isolated Iran from the rest of the world. Foreign companies pulled out, investment dried up, and domestic businesses can't get loans because banks are broke or afraid of penalties. Industries like steel and textiles, which once employed millions, have collapsed. The government tries to plug the gap with subsidies, but it's like bailing out a sinking ship with a teaspoon. Subsidies and corruption are at the heart of Iran's economic woes. The government has long used subsidies to keep fuel, food, and medicine cheap, but this backfired. Cheap fuel led to waste and smuggling, costing $80 billion a year, nearly half the budget. When oil revenues dip, the government borrows or prints money, spiking inflation. Cutting subsidies isn't easy. Attempts have led to deadly protests. Corruption makes things worse. Elites, including those tied to the government and Revolutionary Guard, have siphoned off billions meant for the public. Medicine subsidies vanish, essential drugs are now scarce, and prices have jumped 200%. State-linked groups control key industries with little oversight, getting tax breaks and sweetheart deals while small businesses pay full price. Ordinary Iranians see this and lose trust in the system. To understand why a few elites hold so much power, we need to look back at the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Before then, Iran had a mixed economy with a thriving private sector. The revolution nationalized banks, oil fields, and factories, promising fairness. But state control led to waste and inefficiency. Over time, a small group of insiders, politicians, clerics, and military figures, gained control, building empires while the economy stagnated. Today, the Revolutionary Guard owns stakes in everything from telecom to ports, worth tens of billions. The setup has choked growth and fueled the crisis. Politics are split between hardliners who want to keep things as they are and reformists who push for change, but rarely win. This tug-of-war keeps the economy stuck. The numbers only tell part of the story. The real tragedy is in the lives upended by this crisis. In Mashhad, people line up at dawn for subsidized bread, but bakeries often run out by a loaf that cost 10,000 rials in 2020 now costs 50,000. Rice and cooking oil are rationed, and meat is a rare treat. In rural areas, it's even worse. Climate change is making life tougher, especially for farmers and city workers. Droughts have slashed farm output by 20% since 2020, and rivers are drying up. Farmers are abandoning their land, moving to cities where jobs are scarce. Cities aren't safe either. Tehran faced water shortages in 2024, forcing businesses to close early and costing millions. Dust storms and power outages are becoming the new normal. For many, the dream of a better life is slipping away. How did Iran get here? It's a mix of bad choices and bad breaks. Oil dependency left the economy vulnerable. Sanctions cut off trade and cash. Subsidies and corruption drained resources. The 1979 revolution's promise of equality gave way to a system where elites thrive and others struggle. The result is a nation in free fall with no easy fix. But history shows that even the toughest crises can spark change. As anger boils over and the old system falters, there's a chance for reform, if leaders are willing to listen and act. Until then, millions of Iranians will keep scraping by, hoping for a break that may never come. That's it from my side on this topic. If you found this breakdown informative, drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe to Isaac Blake for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world. Your support really helps us reach more people with these important stories. Until next time, stay informed, stay sharp.